Two people lose the same job on the same day. The first one is destroyed by it. Months of bitterness. Why me? It's not fair. He replays the injustice until it hollows him out. The second one loses the exact same job. And 2 years later, she calls it the best thing that ever happened to her. It pushed her into work she actually loved, into a life she'd never have chosen on her own. Same event, opposite lives. The difference wasn't luck. It wasn't money. It was one idea, and the Stoics built their entire philosophy around it. They called it Amor Fati, love of fate. Not accept your fate, not tolerate it, love it. This is the unbothered Stoic, one ancient idea made usable every week. Today, Amor Fati, the Stoic art of loving what you can't control and how to turn the very thing blocking your path into the path itself. And I'll be honest, when you first hear it, it sounds impossible, maybe even offensive. Love the thing that hurt me, but the Stoics didn't mean pretend the pain isn't real. They meant something far stranger and far more powerful. Let me show you. Start with the idea underneath it. The Stoics divided the entire world into two piles, what you control and what you don't. And they noticed that almost all human misery comes from fighting the second pile, raging at weather, at other people, at the past, at what already happened and cannot be unhappened. Amor Fati is what you do once you truly accept that the event is here and it isn't leaving. You stop wishing it were different, and then you take one more step that almost nobody takes. You ask, what can I make of this? Marcus Aurelius compressed the whole idea into one line that people have tattooed on themselves for 2,000 years. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle isn't blocking your path. Once you accept it, the obstacle is the path. The lost job becomes the doorway. The illness becomes the wake-up. The betrayal becomes the lesson that saves you from a worse one later. Here's the core idea I want you to carry out of this video. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose to use it. That word, use, is everything. The victim asks, why did this happen to me? The Stoic asks, what can this be used for? Same event, two completely different futures, and you're the fork in the road. If that distinction just shifted something for you, do me a quick favor and hit like. It genuinely helps this idea reach someone who's stuck in the first question right now. Then let's make it practical, because loving your fate is a skill, not a slogan, and skills need reps. 3 exercises, all Stoic, all usable this week. The first is the reframe question, asked on purpose. Next time something goes wrong, before the story of unfairness takes over, ask one deliberate question. How could this be exactly what I needed? You don't have to believe the answer yet. You're just forcing your mind to search a different room. The Stoics knew that whatever question you ask, your mind will go hunting for an answer. Ask why me, and it finds reasons to suffer. Ask what's the use, and it finds a way forward. The second exercise is what I'll call the 10-year test. Think of the hardest thing that's happened to you in the last few years. Now honestly ask, has any part of it made you stronger, wiser, or freer? Almost always, the answer is yes, at least a little. And here's the point. The Stoics want you to notice. If you can find the value in your past, pain looking backward, then the pain you're in right now probably has value too. You just can't see it yet because you're standing too close. The third exercise is the daily posture of yes. Seneca said, the willing are led by fate. The unwilling are dragged. You are going where life is taking you either way. The only choice is whether you walk or get dragged. So practice in small things saying yes to reality. The traffic, the rain, the plan that fell through, not as defeat, as training, because if you can say yes to the small frustrations without losing your peace, you'll be ready when a big one comes. Now let me be honest with you, because this idea gets misused. Amor Fati does not mean you stop trying to improve your life. It's not surrender. Marcus fought wars. Seneca built a fortune. They acted hard on the pile they controlled. Loving your fate means you pour everything into your effort and then you make peace with the outcome, because the outcome was never fully yours. You shoot the arrow with total commitment. Where the wind takes it, you accept, and then you use where it lands. And it doesn't mean you feel grateful for tragedy in the moment. Some things just hurt. The Stoics weren't cold. Amor Fati isn't a feeling you fake at the funeral. It's a direction you slowly turn toward once the first shock passes, when you're ready to ask that better question. Here's the promise they kept discovering. The moment you stop fighting what already happened an enormous amount of energy comes back to you. All the force you were spending on why me becomes force you can spend on what now. And people who ask what now are almost impossible to keep down for long. Epictetus, born a slave, his leg broken by a cruel master, said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be happy." He wasn't given an easy fate. He learned to love it anyway. And he ended up freer than the emperor. So the next time life hands you something you didn't choose, remember the fork. You can spend your one short life at war with what already is. Or you can ask the question that turns the wall into a door. What stands in the way becomes the way. I genuinely want to know, and I read every comment, what's one obstacle from your past that turned out to be a door? Share it below. Someone standing in front of that same wall right now needs to read it. The next video zooms all the way out. There's a Stoic mental technique for shrinking any problem, any anxiety, any embarrassment down to its true size, and it works in about 30 seconds. They called it the view from above. Subscribe and stay. We're building this calm one idea at a time.